Welcome to another exciting and engaging online session. In this lesson, I will be teaching you the plot analysis of Second Class Citizen by Buchi Emecheta. Let's begin with this. What is a plot? Plot is a literary device that writers use to structure what happens in a literary work. Plot analysis, therefore, is a process of reviewing a story's plot to understand its events and how the story progresses. This is a pictorial representation of plot. And a good plot has 5 basic parts, which are: 1. Exposition. This is the part that provides necessary details or information about characters and setting and states the problem in the story. Second Class Citizen has 2 settings: Lagos and London. The text was set in Lagos in the 1940s during the Second World War, and this is what Lagos looked like as at that time. Then there is the rising action. This is where the tension or suspense builds. They are the events that force the main character into action. The conflict in the story is often introduced in the exposition, but giving more details throughout the rising action. In the text under review, the climax is the point where the parents of Francis Obi gave permission to their daughter-in-law to join their son in London. Take a look at this diagram. Immediately after the exposition, you find the rising action leading to the climax. The rising actions here are marked with yellow. Then the conflict in the text can be between characters, that is, man against man. Here, the protagonist has a problem with another character or characters. Then there's also the conflict between a character and societal norms or values. Man against society. The societies represent something that the main character has a problem with. He or she tries to fight against it. So when the society is going right, the main character tends to move to the left, as depicted here with this picture. Take a look at another picture. The society is usually on one side while the main character is on the other side, because he or she does not align with the societal values. Now let me ask you a simple question. What kind of conflict did Ada experience in the text? Let me give you a clue. At that point where Ada had to find her way to school, what kind of conflict is represented there? Even when she knows that society gives the male child the sole privilege of education over the female child, because the male child is considered to be of more use than the female child. So what kind of conflict is that? Then there is the conflict between a character and natural forces such as weather or animals. In this type of conflict, some force of nature is causing a problem for the main character. I want you to take note here that a text could have a combination of conflicts. Now, when Ada had joined her husband in London, they talked about a very cold winter, that people could not go out of their rooms due to the severity of the winter. What kind of conflict is that? There is also the conflict between a character and himself. I know many of you at this point will be wondering, how is it possible for a character to have conflict with himself? Yes, this is very much possible. Here, the character has an internal struggle. I don't know if you have ever experienced this. Sometime in life, it happens all the time anyway. Somebody, before he or she does something, is always having conflicting thoughts. Should I do it like this? Should I engage in it at all? And there is always this small still voice that will always say, no, don't, and the other will say, go ahead, forget about the consequences. That is a character having conflicts. As you can see in this picture, this character is reflecting, and there are two voices within. They are always opposite in nature. One is speaking for yes, while the other one is for no. Then there is the climax. The climax is the decisive moment or crossroads in the story. This is where the main character has to make a choice between two things. Is it to go to the right or to the left? Is the main character to go to the road that leads to success, or he should follow the road that leads to failure? These are the decisions he has to make, and these decisions have far-reaching consequences. Then the following action. This is the sequence of events that happen after the climax that lead to the resolution for the characters. immediately after the climax, there's nothing that goes up beyond the climax, because that is the highest point of interest in a literary work. Every other event after the climax is regarded as the falling action, as represented in this diagram with purple color. So the falling action leads to resolution, and the resolution is the concluding part of the story. This is where all loose ends are tied. This is how things turn out for the characters who were involved in one conflict or the other. Now, the storyline. The novel revolves around the character called Ada Ophili, who is the protagonist of the text. She was born when everyone was expecting and predicting a male child. Her parents, her tribe, and the society were all expecting a male child. And this is Ada Ophili. At the point where she was born, everyone was disappointed. Oh, she had a female child. What a disappointment. After the 9 months and 4 days of sleepless nights, this is what she could produce: a female child. Her parents are Man and Pa Ophili from Ibuza, but they reside in Lagos. These are Pa and Man Ophili, the parents of Ada. And they come from this place called Ibuza, but reside in Lagos, where Ada was giving birth to. From an early age, Ada is resolved to travel to the United Kingdom after seeing how the first son of Ibuza was joyously welcomed back from United Kingdom. And this is Lawyer Unweze, who is the first son of Ibuza to have traveled to the United Kingdom to study law. And when Ada saw the way the women of Ibuza welcomed Lawyer Unweze, she was inspired. Early in life, she wanted to get an education, travel to the United Kingdom, and become a writer. Okay, she wants to get an education like this and ends up as a female writer. She therefore sneaks out to school one day without the knowledge of her mother. She enters a class taught by a neighbor of her parents, Mr. Cole. Mr. Cole welcomed Ada into their fold. But all did not go down well with Ada's mother at home, because the police charged her for child neglect, and to punish her, she was given a big bowl of garri to drink, and the police advised her to sell one of her lappers in quotes, because that was how they were referring to rappers. So the police advised her to sell one of her lappers to take Ada to school, because she appeared to be a child who has keen interest in education. As a result, Ada started going to school officially, and her father enrolled her into Ladylak Institute, a prestigious school at that time, and that is the same school that Boy, the younger brother of Ada, has long been attending. Remember, Boy was giving a preferential treatment to Ada even though he is younger because he was a male child. And this is Ladylak Institute. After some time, Mr. Ophili dies and Ada's mother is inherited by his brother, as at that time it was allowed for the brothers to inherit their late brother's wife or wives. And the children were split up. Ada, because she was a female child, ended up with a maternal uncle. So this is Pa Ophili's brother that inherited Ada's mother. She reaches puberty and she is pressurized to get married to an old body, as she nicknamed the men that were coming to ask for her hand in marriage. According to the text, these men coming to seek for Ada's hand in marriage were almost as old as Pa Ophili, Ada's father. But Ada puts up a strong resistance and she wins a scholarship to Methodist Girls' School. At a very tender age, men have started asking for Ada's hand in marriage. Ada gets married to Francis Obi. Take note that when she finished her secondary school, she wanted to further her education. But the society as at that time greatly frowns at teenagers living by themselves, especially the female ones. If they do, they will be looking for trouble. So Ada needed a home and she needed to further her education. In short, she needed to get married, and she got married to Francis Obi. I want you to know that they were both underage. They had not reached the age of 18. She gets pregnant immediately and had a baby girl named Titi, and this soon followed by a second child, a boy child named Victor. These are Ada and Francis. From the picture here, they were underage as at the time they got married. And because Francis could not pay the bride price of £500 that Ada's mother and younger brother demanded for, they did not witness their union. Boy and Ada's mother did not witness their union. The only witness they had was Obi's mother, who was not literate enough to handle a pen to sign. She had to sign with her right thumb. Note that Ada was pregnant with Vicky when Francis left for the United Kingdom. This is pregnant Ada with a second child, Victor. a job. She works as a library clerk at the American Consulate Library in Lagos. And even at that, she was to fend for herself, her children, and even her in-laws, down to the 7 sisters of Francis. And to crown it all, she was also sending money to Francis in the United Kingdom. Okay, this is Ada as a librarian. She solely takes care of herself, like I told you earlier, her children and her in-laws. She was even sending money to Francis. Finally, the long-awaited moment knocks at her door. She joins her husband in London. But what she saw when she got there was far different from her dreams, what she had been expecting. When she got to London, there was accommodation problem, and Francis changed in attitude. And she also discovered that Nigerian children are not allowed to be with their parents. They have to be fostered. That is, they have to be taken away to a white woman to take care of them. There was also racial discrimination against blacks, to the point that when Ada and Francis were evicted by their jealous landlord and landlady in Ashdown Street, they looked everywhere for accommodation, and they almost could not find any because they were colored. And there is also a tribal disunity among Nigerian immigrants in London, especially between the Yorubas and the Igbos. In quick succession, Ada gives birth to baby Boo Boo, another male child, and on the heels of the 3rd pregnancy follows a 4th one. This time, she gave birth to a girl called Dada. She first finds employment in North Finchley Library as a librarian. She quits because of the difficulty she had during the birth of baby Boo Boo. At a point in London, she completes the manuscript of her maiden novel. Maiden means first. She wrote a novel that had not been published, titled The Bride Price. But Francis burnt it. What cruelty! And this was the last straw that broke the camel's back. This statement is not to be taken literally. It is a figure of speech, and it means that Ada has been enduring so much in her marriage. She has been tolerating Francis' abusive nature. Francis was abusive emotionally and physically. So Francis burning Ada's manuscript maiden novel was the last straw that broke the camel's back. Ada said, "No, I have had enough. I can no longer continue with this. With this, our marriage with Francis comes to an end. Alright, so I have been teaching you the plot analysis of Second Class Citizen by Buchi Emecheta. Ask me questions on shady areas in our physical class, and I will be glad to give you the answers. Alright, this is where I will call it a day in this lesson. Until I come your way again, goodbye for now.